anger, outrage, exasperation, indignation. At that moment, I should have felt all of these coursing through my every vein. Looking back, I wish I had felt even one of them. Instead, when I read about yet another school shooting of the 10 dead and 9 injured at Oregon's Umpqua Community College, I felt dejected, disheartened, resigned. I wish I could say I felt motivated to do something about it, to take to the streets, to write letters, to fly to Washington and convince lawmakers that they must make a change. Instead, I scrolled down to the next story on my Facebook feed. I did not enter the rabbit to pursue social action. I'm all for social action, but it's never been my thing, my drive, my passion. Truth be told, I often look at the problems of the world around me, the enormous systemic issues that plague every level of our society, and I feel overwhelmed, powerless. Leaving HUC to pursue a life of politics is unrealistic, and community organizing always felt like slapping a Band-Aid on a punctured tire. The truth is, I chose not to make the long-term commitment to get involved. I resigned myself to the status quo, what President Obama called the routine of gun violence, and I renounced these problems to the void. In rabbinic terms, I thought I had experienced political and societal Yeush. The Talmud introduces the concept of Yeush when discussing property law, specifically the biblical commandment that we must take action to return a lost item, unless, the rabbis tell us, the owner has experienced Yeush, a sense of resignation or despair that said item would not be or could not be returned. Every day, stories of violence, hatred, ignorance, and greed inundate our lives with injustice after injustice. Sometimes I feel like giving up. The task feels too daunting, the change is too slow, so in my desperation to make a difference, I reach out and click the like button, the little thumbs up on my screen to show the world that I care. In an age of instant everything, we have become addicted to instant gratification, instant response. We turn to Facebook activism, where with one little click of the mouse, we can feel empowered. And if we really feel strongly about it, we might even click share. It is how we get our fix, but it does not fix anything. To make real, lasting change, we cannot give up. We must endure. We must let go of our need for easy answers and quick solutions. We must persevere. That word, persevere, holds a special place in my heart. I wear it on my wrist every day. Several years ago, a young boy named Justin was losing his lifelong battle with a rare and vicious cancer. After a tiring round of physical therapy, Justin struggled to sit up in his hospital bed. His mom and dad raced over to help him, but Justin shoved them all away. After several torturous minutes, Justin succeeded, sitting up under his own power. Then he called for a small whiteboard, his only method of communication in those days. In scrawling letters reminiscent of a stroke victim, Justin etched one word: perseverance. That was his last communication. Justin died hours later. Justin's story exemplifies a certain tenacity, a stubbornness required to push through, to stave off despair. We find that same persistence in Parshat Vayetze. This week, we read how Jacob worked diligently for 7 years to achieve his goal. When at the end of 7 years, when things didn't work out the way he planned, he could have given up. He could have despaired over his loss and abandoned the endeavor. Instead, he reminded himself what he was fighting for, and that enabled him to endure another 7 years. Jacob, like Justin, persevered. In Hebrew, the word for perseverance is hatmada. Curiously, it is the same word for inertia, an object's resistance to change. Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." The Hebrew demonstrates that perseverance is a habit too. In moments of Yeush, our inertia feels too great to overcome. Rabbi Irving Greenberg reminds us that one way to define life is by the capacity to respond. According to Jewish tradition, he writes, life progresses toward ever greater responsiveness. What I call Yeush, what Rabbi Greenberg calls psychic numbing, these impair our growth. But if we can summon the strength to take that first step, it will lead to the next, and the next, and the next. We can find that strength, among other sources, through prayer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechid mitzadei gaber. Blessed are you, Adonai, who strengthens our steps. I can only speak for myself. I know at times I have succumbed to my own inertia. We lead busy lives, but there is more we could do, more we should do, as future clergy, as Jews, as human beings. Decisions are made by those who show up, and it is time we show up. We need to resensitize ourselves to the pangs of our world. We need to rediscover our edge, our tenacity, our stubbornness, not to take no for an answer. we need to rediscover the stiff neck, the cachet aura, for which we were once famous. Everyone knows that the first step to solving a problem is to acknowledge that it exists. But what if you truly don't know yet? The rabbis ask this very question about Yeush. What happens if someone finds something of yours that you don't know you've lost? The rabbis establish the deciding factor to be the presence or absence of an identifying mark. If you have marked your belongings, if you have personalized them, you have a right to their return. A great many people have not yet realized that they have lost their stake in this world, and even fewer have failed to, or even more have failed to make this world their own. Have you? We make this world our own through our integrity, by standing up for what's right and not letting the world pass us by. We may not have all the answers, and that's scary, but we cannot wait for the answers to come to us. In the words of George Bernard Shaw, a life spent making mistakes is not only more honorable, but more useful than a life spent doing nothing. So I ask again, have you made your mark? But even if you have, here's the kicker. Even if we have personalized our ownership of this world, we cannot count on anyone returning it to us. We cannot expect others to care for our world the way the rabbis instruct us to care for another's possessions. We have to step up and reclaim this world with all its positives and negatives. We must lift it up for all to see and declare in a strong voice that this world is ours, and we are going to leave it better than we found it. To quote Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, if you were there, and the Romans and the Babylonians were about to destroy Jerusalem, and you had the power to do something about it, would you sit and mourn and cry? Or would you turn the world upside down and change history? So what's stopping you? Overturn the world today. Perhaps I have not experienced Yeush after all. World events may not shock me. They may have become routine. But I have not given up hope. I have not passed the torch or resigned myself to accepting the consequences. I will make my mark on this world, and I will make it my own. And most of all, I will persevere.